It's Karla from Cherrywood Hand Dyed Fabrics coming to you live from Brainerd, Minnesota. And I am on some different equipment this week, so just bear with me if I might seem a little pixelated. You can just call me the Pixel Lady. Um, I am switching around some. Last week we were on location. Hopefully you saw the video last week where I was at the North Star Retreat Center in Minnesota, and we were doing a very tiny little retreat, and we had a lot of fun, and I got to introduce you to Heather. But tonight I'm back here in Brainerd in the Cherrywood studio, and this is where we make all of our hand-dyed fabric, right here. In fact, I am looking right at the washing machines that are getting ready to dye another batch of fabric tomorrow. Let us know that you are here live with us, and welcome to my little corner of the world. And tonight I have a lot of fun stuff to share with you. The biggest thing I'm going to share with you is my chat with Rachel Clark. And we have been friends with Rachel for years and years and years. And it was really fun to sit down with her in her home studio and catch up a little bit. So I'm going to be showing you that chat in a little bit. But there's lots of other things I need to tell you about. Cherrywood is very proud to sponsor the Pacific International Quilt Show that is happening right now. It is online virtually this year, of course. So it is called the PIQFO. And this is the quilt show that usually is in Santa Clara, California. And it is put on by the Mancuso Show Management. So we have been having a lot of fun. I've been watching all the interviews that they've been having. They have tons of classes and lectures. They did their awards banquet last night for the quilts, and that was a lot of fun. I'm just testing out comments to make sure that this is working, so please let me know that you are here. Oh, okay. There's my parents. My parents always tune in to watch, so hi, Mom and Dad. Again, the Pacific International Quilt Show is going on right now. And the cool thing about it is you can watch that, everything that's happening there on the Quilt Fest Facebook page, or you can hop over to their website, which is onlinequiltfestival.com. And anything that is happening, you can see live right there on the website. Do check out the vendor mall. Excuse me. The vendor mall has flash sales every day. And today is the Cherrywood flash sale. We might have another one tomorrow or Saturday. The quilt show goes through Saturday. And today our flash sale is 10% off all of our yardage colors. So we have 40 different yardage colors here. There might be a few that we are sold out of. There's a couple of blues that we're having a hard time getting the blue dye for, but 10% off all yardage colors, and that is just until I think 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that is just for people who are in the PIQFO show, but I thought I would share that with you because time is ticking. So all you have to do is get the code over at the online quilt show. I'll give it to you later because I can't think of it right now. And you can enter that into the website, cherrywoodfabrics.com, when you order yardage, and that will take out 10% off of all of your yardage order. I would like to talk about a new quilt that we have debuting here. I don't have the actual quilt with me, but because of oh, hi, Kitty. Hi, Robin. Because of the magic of the internet and all this fun stuff, I can show you images of this quilt. This quilt was actually made by a customer of ours, and I'm sorry I forgot to write down her name, but she shared this with us, and I just fell in love with it. It's called The Great Wall, and it is a pattern by Janine Burke, and she used batiks in her pattern. I'm going to show you the picture of the pattern here, just so you can see the difference. So this is the actual pattern, and it was made from batiks. But as you can see, when you make it out of cherrywood, it gives it a whole different feel, and the richness of the colors are just incredible. She put together about 3 or 4 different 8-step fat quarter gradations, and she chose some gorgeous colors. And so we have put together a kit, and I will show you that kit here. This is the gorgeous kit. It is a combination of reds and peachy oranges. There's some teals and many, many shades of green, all the way up to my most intense wicked green. And kiwi berry is in there, so you get some interesting browns. And it is just to die for. So that is a brand new kit on our website. And that, again, is called Great Wall. The kit is, oh darn it, I have to put on my glasses here. The pattern is $10, and the kit with the pattern included is $230. And yeah, brand new tonight. We just put it on the website, and we just have a few of these kits, so do not delay. It is a scrumptious quilt. So again, I'm sorry if I am pixelated, but I am on an older computer, and hopefully my sound quality is okay, but I might be a little choppy tonight. So another, since we're going to be talking a lot about garments tonight, Rachel Clark is a garment designer. I would like to talk about this beautiful jacket right here. This is called the Tabula Rasa jacket, and this is the back of the jacket, and those leaves are actually 3-dimensional. Actually, the buttons are 3-dimensional. The leaves are appliqued on with a buttonhole stitch, but this was made from our hot and spicy pre-cut 2.5-inch strips. There you see the whole thing. It's got some nice cuffs on it that use the cherrywood, and then the base of the jacket is all eggplant. And the 2.5-inch strips are put together in the order that they come in the roll. And this is what the fabric kit looks like. So you get these 2.5-inch strips, and we've got beautiful fall colors, combination of several of our color gradations. And some of you who have followed Cherrywood for a while may recognize that this looks like my Cherrywood vine pattern, quilt pattern, and that is because this jacket was inspired by that pattern. So the pattern is called Tabula Rasa, and it is by Fit for Art Designs. And we do carry these patterns, but I just want to point out that Fit for Art is also a vendor at the PIQFO show. So I want you to head on over to their website and see what they have to offer. And their website is fitforart.com. Fitforart.com. So they have this wonderful pattern, and it's almost like a booklet because it gives you a lot of different ideas on how to make a jacket, how to make it fit. There are darts in the jacket. It's very comfortable. We did line ours with a silky lining. In fact, they made this sample for us. Let me just show you the back again. And these are covered buttons that are put on as clusters, so they look like little berries. It's just the perfect jacket for this kind of weather, and also for the coloring. We're seeing some beautiful colors in our leaves up here in Minnesota. So the pattern get from fitforart.com, and our fabric kit, which comes in 2 different sizes. So depending on what size you need, you either get 24 pre-cut strips or 48. So for sizes, the 2 different sizes, it's either $83 or $125. And that the smaller kit goes from extra small to medium, and then the larger kit goes from medium to, large to 3X. And you also get the instructions that we put in here as an insert to show you how to take the original pattern and make it look like this. So it talks about how to sew the strips together, how to make the leaves and all that. So these fabric kits are on sale right now. So when you go to our website at cherrywoodfabrics.com, if you go to the far right tab that says live, all capital letters, L-I-V-E, you're going to see things that I'm talking about here tonight, including the tabula rasa fabric kit. And the sale price is already marked down, so you don't need any kind of code for that. Okay. So, and the Great Wall quilt is also shown on the live tab. And some other interesting things that we have are kind of some odds and ends that we don't have on our website normally, but we put together this simple little collection of 4 colors. And we call it nautical because that's kind of what it reminded us of. It's basically red, white, and blue, but it's an off-white or buttercream and a really soft sea, ocean kind of color blue. So this is only available in fat, quarter, 4-step collections. And this is on sale. We have it marked down to $16 instead of $20. And we also only have 19 of these bundles left. So get on over to the live tab at cherrywoodfabrics.com. The price on these are $16, and that is for a yard of fabric. And I am going to give you a little hint that we do have another special coming up for PIQFO, and that is going to be on all of our 4 steps. And it's up to them when they run the next special, but you are hearing it first that we are having 10% off of all of our 4-step bundles. That includes fat quarter bundles, half yard bundles, or full yard bundles. And just a sampling of some of the colors we have in 4-yard bundles. These are all half yard bundles that I'm holding here. It's kind of like candy, isn't it? So these are collections that are usually basically one color, going from a dark to a light, whereas our 8-step gradations are usually going from one color to another, so they're hue gradations. These are basically dark to light, a dark orange to a light orange. And the names, like this is our Prince collection, our Prince Purple in 4 shades of purple, our Lion King, and as you can see, they build together. So our Violet medley, our Hot medley, and our Zest medley, those stack together nicely and they just continue that gradation. So 4 steps are kind of the unsung heroes, the 8-step gradations that have all the different colors in them. They get a lot of attention because they are so beautiful. 8 colors put together in gradation. And of course you can see, if you were here, you could see the suede texture that we dye into the fabric. That suede texture, it looks and feels like suede, but it is 100% cotton, and it is washable and pre-shrunk and pre-measured and pre-packaged into these beautiful bundles. So we have collections of 8, collections of 4, so these are 4 steps, and then we also have collections of 12, which is also featured on the PIQF quilt show. One of our new, it's not really new, but it's a revision of one of our 8-step gradations called Meadow. And we have been having some issues getting our blue dyes to come from the manufacturer. There's a shortage on blue, which I have talked about in the past, and hopefully we get caught up soon. But that's kind of forcing me to change some of my formulas and experiment with blues, which also means greens and purples, and now it's trickling into reds and blacks. So I decided, you know, I'm just going to experiment and get as close as I can to what the original formula was, but let's see what kind of happy accidents we get. So I have my last batch of Meadow is a little more intense than it has been in the past. And so let me get this on a board so you can see it. So here is New Meadow, and I ended up with some super cool grass greens. Starts out with a very intense citrus green, a lot of yellow in it, but then there's some beautiful bluish greens into teals, and basically down to an indigo blue. So this, if you're familiar with our colorways, we come up with a name for the entire collection. So this is called Meadow, but since it's a little bit different, we're calling it New Meadow. And I cannot promise that I can recreate this again because of the dye shortages. So there's at least one batch of New Meadow, and our next batch may have to look a little different. So check this out on our 8-step tab on our website. Okay, I have a whole sorts of things to check off my list. We've talked about that, and that. Great Wall, tabula rasa. Another exciting thing for us with the Pacific International Quilt Show is the Bob Ross Cherrywood Challenge has been put on hold as far as traveling. There's no place to go. So I had started making a virtual video of the entire collection. And this challenge is art quilts that are 20 inches square. And we had 200 quilts that we put together in this beautiful display that now we are unable to share at quilt shows. So I started putting together a video, and I got up to the first 100 quilts. And that video we have shown with the Mancuso, their first online quilt show. And then they graciously put together another video of the last 100 quilts. And we were so excited and so thankful that they did that, because that's very time consuming to put together a video. And that video will air, debut on the PIQFO show on Saturday. And it's going to be playing at 2:15 Pacific time. So that'll be the Cherrywood, the Bob Ross Cherrywood Challenge, the second installment of the virtual tour. So in honor of that, we put together a big Bob bundle. So this is the collection of fabrics that were used in the challenge. Everybody had 8 colors of fabric to use, and they were based off of paint colors that Bob would use in his oil painting. Bob Ross was an oil painter that had show on PBS for 18 years. So you've got blues, a couple of greens, a couple of golds, and a couple of browns. So all of the quilts in the collection use this bundle. So this is a 8-step fat quarter bundle, and the price on this is $40. So this is on our website. You can buy and purchase at any time. We also publish a book of the entire exhibit, all 200 quilts that I was talking about. They are all featured in this book, photographed beautifully. There's artist statements in here, so every single quilt will tell you a little bit about what the artist was thinking. And these men and women are from all over the world. We had submissions from Denmark, Switzerland, Brazil this year. And so the amount of creativity, ingenuity is just incredible. And all of these people, they didn't see what the other one was doing, but they all started from the same place using the same 8 colors of fabric. They're all the same size, all the same theme. This book is just a wonderful conversation piece and something great to inspire you if you get stuck creatively. All the techniques are listed in here, whether it's hand quilting, machine quilting, embellishing, painting, beading, embroidery. This book retails normally for $28. It is on sale right now for $20. And again, we have a limited amount of these. We do 1 printing of these challenge books, and when they're gone, they're gone. So in the Big Bob bundle, we are throwing in the book and the 8-step gradation. Then we have another scrap bundle that has a few more of the Bob Ross colors that we're throwing in. This is valued at $12, and you get even more fabric. Then we are throwing in the official Bob Ross pendant. that is made by Jennifer Patterson Designs. This is a polymer clay pendant that has, every year she makes one to match our challenge. And this has a little paint palette with paintbrushes, daubs of paint, and a paintbrush. This is valued at $29. We're going to put that in the bundle. And then last but not least, there is a documentary of the life of Bob Ross. And this is really information that you haven't seen before on PBS. It explains his whole life and his wonderful philosophy, very entertaining. The value on this is $30. We're throwing that in there. So you get this whole big Bob bundle for $99.99. And the value of it is $140, but we're having a sale on it for $99.99. Christmas is coming. There's a lot of you out there that love Bob. My guess is that if you have a young person in your life, teenager, even younger, they probably know who Bob Ross is, and they would just get a really big kick out of something like this, knowing that maybe grandma makes quilts, and these are quilts, but how does she know about Bob Ross? And yeah, it's just a really cool connection between our quilting world and kind of mainstream pop culture. So we are limited to how many Big Bob bundles we have because of the DVD. So there may be only a couple left, but do check that out on our website, cherrywoodfabrics.com. So that brings me to my focus for tonight, who is Rachel Clark. And she has been doing some things on PQF, this PIQFO, the Santa Clara show is what I'm used to calling it. Earlier today, they did a studio tour, and she showed us all the behind the scenes and how she creates these gorgeous jackets and garments that she makes. And so I hope you enjoy this video. And if you are from Brainerd and you've been going to Pine Tree Patchworker meetings, she came to visit us in 2007. So I found some old photos of that, so you will get to see them here. You have been using Cherrywood since way before me, so maybe like...
Yeah, well, I pulled out the very first garment that I made using only Cherrywood fabrics.
Oh, cool.
Because, and I started it because I had Dawn, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I would always go to her booth when they would do the Santa Clara show, or I see her someplace else. I'd always go and I'd always buy fabric. So at the Santa Clara show, I went into the booth and I was looking around, and I still always make a mess in y'all booth.
Yeah.
And so
okay.
And so I had made, and I got my stuff. And so she, as I was leaving, she said, you know, you always buy our fabric, but I have never seen anything that you have made. What are you going to do with it? And I said, oh, I just take it home, sit it on the shelf, and pet it. And so on my way home, I thought about that flip-ass remark. And then I came home and I made my Cherrywood coat. And that's what it's called, my Cherrywood coat. So this is all the fabric that I pieced the blocks. I just came home and started piecing blocks. And they're like houses and scrap blocks and T-blocks and all of that. And then once I got it made, I put a branch of wood, and then that's my Cherrywood branch.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, so there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Can you come towards the iPad too, and it should pick up?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I can actually see what you see, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the very first thing that I made using all Cherrywood fabric except for the wood branch. Everything else is Cherrywood. And so that's how I did it. And then once, it was like breaking a log jam, because once I got that done, and it's not so much as that I've gone back and used Cherrywood and just Cherrywood by itself anymore, as much as for me, Cherrywood is a solid that will go with a lot of other fabrics. and it helps a lot. So I brought two different things. Okay, this is Cherrywood with molas.
Right.
And all of the solids are Cherrywood solids. And then I used them because what I liked about them is that they picked up the feel of old molas in terms of the color. So I just made strata out of a lot of the Cherrywood. This is what I use my scrap bags for.
Yeah.
Is when I want a lot of color.
Those grab bags are great for that stuff where you just, you need to.
And then here is another one, that's molas. Here is one with African fabrics.
Oh.
So all of the periwinkle is Cherrywood. All of the solids, the little spots, that's all Cherrywood.
Okay.
So that's another way I made. There's a strata, and then I just cut it apart. So for the bigger pieces, I use my fat quarters or my half yards, and then for all the little pieces like this, I just use my scrap bags.
Wow.
So here it is with, and I love using it with ethnic fabrics because it just, they don't fight as much with the colors.
Yeah, it's something that broken in indigenous kind of, you know, I don't know, it just works with those colors and with
yes, it does. And so then what I also wanted to show you, now here is where I have mixed Cherrywood with some other solids. And so, but the thing that I love about it, you can always tell what's Cherrywood.
Yeah.
And so it's a subtlety about it. And it's a movement that I get when I'm working with it. I can't speak for what other people get, but I like mixing it. So here it is mixed with some polished cottons, or they're not exactly polished. They're sort of I don't know, they're kind of a cross between a batik and a polished, but they're stiffer fabrics. And so, but again, I wanted the brightness of those. Oh, I know what they are. They're the G's Bend.
Oh, yeah.
That fabric that was dyed for G's Bend. So that's what it is. It's that fabric. And then I mixed it with a cherry. So here again, I like, and you can tell it. I mean, you just know, if you know Cherrywood, you know. And it's really funny because whenever I'm talking or lecturing, I said, oh, and I just used some Cherrywood. I mean, I just went to, and invariably somebody will say, what are you talking about Cherrywood? And there are many people in the audience know exactly, but then there are other people don't, just speak to it. So that's it. Now here it is. So these two garments, the last two, and this one, again, see how it's mixed in with batiks. So here, all of the, the trees and the backgrounds and stuff, but I've mixed it in. And so here's like a shaded with these three are Cherrywood and then a little bright one of something else. So here is this part up here, and then you can see as I come down in here. But I love how well it works with so many of other fabrics and I like working with a lot of fabrics. That's why I like small pieces, because if I'm going to have a palette of green, I don't just want 2 greens. I want 52 greens.
Right, as many as you can get.
The latest thing that I worked with, again, you can spot it in the watermelon slide in here. So here is I just used it in making the long melon slice, and then the rest of it is just all commercial cotton. So and then the last one, no, I guess it's not the last one. I went on I love the grays that you all have.
Oh,
and
good.
And it's so funny because people don't think about me in gray, but I just love the gray. So here is it. I wanted to show off this fabric. Yes. And some of the grays that didn't fight with it was some of the Cherrywoods. And so again, I had my little packets of grays that I picked up. And so I worked those in
Beautiful.
In this. And then this is right now is probably one of my favorite garments. This is Running with the Wolf. And it's made to honor Howlin' Wolf. So here you can see when I created the heart, I just used one of you all's groups. So here's the blues going up.
Indigo to light, yeah.
Yeah. And so then I mixed up. So Cherrywood is all mixed into here, picking up a lot of the grays and the browns there that, again, I wanted it to be wearable, but subtle, if you can call all of this going on subtle.
Well, yeah, and the Cherrywood solid can kind of calm down some of the prints.
Yes,
you
yes,
like to
yes.
use a lot of prints, but it's great to have that Cherrywood in there.
Well, the thing that for me is I never bought into, we went through a period where people were doing a lot of designing and they was not using solids. And
Right.
I just never accepted that that was a good way for me to work. So I have always used solids. I may use a lot of prints and sometimes I will do something where I don't have any solids, but sometimes I'll do something where I don't have any prints. I'm just working with all solids. But to me, solids really help make a design work. And the solids also will point out bad design.
Yeah,
it's nothing. You can't hide behind a whole bunch of prints when you're working with
that's
solids.
a good point.
So I feel like you have to work a little bit harder when you are working with just the solids. But that's the challenge. That's part of doing the work. And then I'll show you my bins. I'm so excited about my bins.
Oh.
Okay. So this is.
Oh, your bin.
This is one. And so this has some of the bigger pieces. And then a group that I was pulling together for a blue project, sort of, I've been sliding them down on the end, but I didn't want them to get lost in the studio. So this is my other bin. Yes. Well, like I said, I like to keep them where when I want them, except for the scrappy stuff. I'll sit over here. The scrappy stuff, like my scrap bags, I keep them kind of in a closet, a little closet. But I like to keep this for when I know I want to be, I know where it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so
you can see all of the colors, the little edge.
I can see all of the colors. And when I get ready to order something, I can always come in and look and see if I'm ordering something twice. I've been known to do that.
No, you don't often get like many grasshopper. Every time I see you, you buy a little bit of grasshopper. And I'm noticing that your walls are grasshopper green.
Yes. I love that color. I blue and that color is my absolute favorite color. And so,
how many coats do you think you have created over your entire career?
Well, I've never sort of counted the coats out of it, but in my entire career, done over 300 garments.
Oh my gosh. Do you sell them, or is this mainly for your personal?
Sometimes I will sell something, but when I started doing it, it was a choice between trying to sell the stuff or teaching. And I found for me that the teaching worked better for me. So I would make new garments to keep the fashion show, the lecture fresh. But
right.
I never got into the marketing end. Because part of marketing is I make what I like.
Yeah, and you don't want to be restricted by.
Yeah, and part of marketing is someone, I really like that, but could you do that with orange? And it's like, no. If I'd have wanted orange there, I would have put it there. And so as a result, I got this. I have one side of a room. I have one side of a room. If you go to the length of the room, what we built was like a clothes rack that go from one end of the room to the other end of the room. And that's where they are all there, and the vests are double hung.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's insane. I know I have at least, I would guess that I have probably maybe 80 coats.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's on the high side. And if I would go to the low side, I'd say 70. Well, what happened about 10, 15 years ago, for whatever reason, I used to make a lot of ensembles.
Mm-hmm.
And I love making ensembles. But all of a sudden, I found that I was making coats, and then maybe I'd make a skirt or something go. And I finally realized that I sort of found my voice in doing coats. Now, I live in a climate where it doesn't always lend itself
to a lot of coats.
Yes, you don't need a lot of coats. But I found that that's a great palette for me to tell a story.
Okay.
And so I have now just pretty much switched to making coats. I just like that format. And every time I think, okay, you're gonna make a vest and it finds sleeves, find it. So anyway, I just I love it. I mean, I love the whole thing. And well, one of the things I've decided, and I need to talk to them, is that I'm probably going to donate some of the Fairfield pieces to the Quilt Museum.
So yeah. I hear a lot of people, if they're new to quilting, they haven't heard about the Fairfield or Bernina fashion show. So tell us a little bit about your garment.
The first one that I made, I did, for whatever reason, don't ask me why, I did a garment with pigs. And it was a walking suit that I made, and it has pigs and a petticoat and a dress that all goes together. It's quite over the top. I'll take a photo and send you a photo.
Yeah.
And then the next garment I made was a vest, and it was a long vest, and it was the Tibetan panel vest that I adapted, and so I made that, and it's called "If You Can't Do Diamonds, Do Color." And because the theme was diamonds, that there was a diamond that year, it was the show. And so, and then the next one I did, which I just did, it was a hoot because it's the watermelon coat, and it's called Just Another Colored Girl Having Fun. And Donna was the Wilder was the host, she was the narrator of the show. And so they called me up and they said, do you really want to call it Just a Colored Girl? And I said, yes. And I would always, sometimes I think I have just a mean, well, I don't know if it's mean, but streak in me that I would just, every time she would get to that color, she would like choke. She would say it. But anyway, so then I was, and then Bernina took it over. And I was never terribly interested in doing it with Bernina, because Bernina sort of changed it and it became prize oriented and all of that. And I'm not real crazy about that kind of thing. But my ego.
Yeah. You had to do it, right?
I had to do one. So when I got accepted to do one, and I knew that was going to be my last garment that I was going to do for that show. And I did a blue cape, and it has a lot of cherrywood in it too. It's I'll send you a photo, but I knew that was my swan song. And so those were my pieces that I did for the show. Yeah.
Did you have any teaching gigs that got canceled because of COVID?
Yeah, my whole year got wiped out.
So are you traveling you're teaching at national quilt shows? Do you also teach it at guilds?
Yeah. One of my early gigs, not early gigs, but I came and worked for you guys for fabric. Remember that I was coming to Minnesota?
And you stayed at my house. It was so exciting.
I did.
And that was a lot of fun. And my daughter was probably 4 years old at the time, and she came along to the show and tell at the quilt club, and you put the big coat on her, the watermelon coat, and I had a cute little picture of her. Well, in 2 weeks, she's going off to college, so that'll...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other lovely thing about having been in this business and done it for as long as how many kids that I met as kids that are now adults. Unlike a lot of teachers, and that's not good or bad, it's just, I sort of had to figure out how I wanted to do it. And I never wanted to do it. My stepfather used to say to us all the time, if you can't solve the problem, don't become part of the problem. And so one of the things that, for me, when I first started, there was a couple of guidelines that I set for myself. One, that I was going to be available to small groups, and I would work something out to go to those groups. Mm-hmm. I would work for other things other than money. And I was willing to stay in people's homes. And I always had a credit card so that if things got dicey, I could call a cab and go. And so those were my guidelines, and that I would respect people's homes. And I have stayed in homes where, now I have to say, I was very glad the woman that I stayed at one time, she said that, oh, the room that you're sleeping in, my son's boa constrictor got lost up in the house and it took us over a week to find him. And I stopped dead still. And I said, did you find him? And she said, yes. And I said, and where does it live now? And she said, oh, he's at my husband's house. And I said, okay, fine. Because that was going to be that was a credit card moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
My takeaway is the fact that I think that more families are intact than people give them credit for. And I have a very cynical friend, and she said, Rachel, do you think a really dysfunctional family would invite you to stay with them? But that's beside the point. Over the years, I have stayed in a lot of homes and met a lot of people that have had wonderful families. And that has not always been a mom and a dad and a kid. There has been single moms that have great kids, and there have been, I've never stayed single dads, and there has been two people in the family, husband and a wife, and that it really have, I mean, I feel that it really sustained my faith and my hope in families, that families will continue to grow and nurture each other. And so that's probably one of the best, great memories, but one of the best things that I feel like that I can say that I have stayed with some wonderful people over the years.
So how many years have you been teaching?
30. I started, it's been a little over 30, but I always kind of say 30 because 30 is, I really started, my husband died in 90. And so I really kind of started doing more. I was teaching before that. I was not one of those people who could have a kid at home trying to manage high school and me on the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so I just decided that I would only teach where I would go like one overnight, or I would, teach I would go down and teach at Ensemble. Now I taught at Ensemble for a number of years before I got to that 30, but that was, 45 miles from home. And Gary and Kenzie would always come down on a Wednesday night or kind of thing and see the show or whatever. So I did things. So for all intents and purposes, I've been sort of teaching for about 40 years. Oh. But I don't count those years so much as I do after Gary's death. Oh, and then that's when I started, that's when I really went full-time, full board. And so, and so I've seen a lot of changes. I've met some incredible people along the way, and it's just been, I still have friends that I made on some of my first teaching gigs.
What's it going to feel like when we all go back to a quilt show and we're all like just craving human interaction? We're just going to go nuts.
Yes. I think it is so, the people that are doing the best are people that have hobbies.
Oh, absolutely.
Or have, and even if they feel like it's not a hobby anymore, that have something that they can do or focus on. Yes, well, I walk around, people will say to me, they'll say, oh, you got something, you work so fast. And it's like, all you see is the end product. You don't see the 15 years that I walk around editing this project in my head.
Yeah,
and trying to decide what canvas I'm going to use to make it on, if it's going to be a long coat or a short coat or flared or an A-line, or, I mean, I can spend a lot of time on doing stuff like that and collecting the fabrics. I mean, I've been collecting fabrics for that Liberty on Liberty for at least 15, 20 years. Basically, when it's ready to come out, all I have to do is take my band of Liberty scraps down, start cutting in the strips and putting together strata, and then cutting off the strata, moving it around and placing it where, so I will probably have it done in like 2 weeks.
Right.
But it took years to get to that. And so to someone looking at it, they see you start, and then they'll say, oh my God, you work so fast. You got that done in 2 weeks. Like, yeah, right. That was because when I sat down to do it, for this particular, when I sit down to do it, I know exactly what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't have to spend a lot of time pondering what is the next step? What is the next move? What, you know,
right.
It's all worked out in my head. So, you know, we're at a place, and then I'll let you go. We're at a place where I feel like we get to every once in a while, we get to everybody want it done yesterday. And I think, and I'm hoping that one of the lessons that we take away from this, that it's okay to take time and work on something, that everything, you don't need a quick way to make whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have different skills, but it's also, everything doesn't have to be so production oriented. And I like spending time with things that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, you enjoy the process of everything.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. Why else would quilters buy a brand new piece of fabric and cut it up and sew it back together? It's the process.
It's the process. It just made me feel good to sit here and chat with you.
Aw, I agree. It's just
it's nice. Okay, well, you take
care
care and wish your daughter well as she heads off into the world.
Good chatting with you.
Yes,
take care.
And I'll send you what I promised, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye now. Okay.
Wasn't that awesome? I just saw that Rachel Clark herself has joined us on this live video. So everybody say hi to Rachel. Tell her what you think about all of her jackets and her positivity. And like Robin said, she's just fun to listen to because she's so upbeat and positive, which we really need right now. So inspired by Rachel and her fabric and her statement about she loves all kinds of fabrics, not just Cherrywood, I have changed clothes, and I am showing you that I also work in things besides Cherrywood. My background was in sewing clothing, so I grew up in 4-H, and my mom taught me how to sew clothing. So that was my first love. And I also love collecting interesting fabrics, just like everybody else. So I have some garments here today that actually have no Cherrywood in them, but I just thought I would share them with you. This was actually from a kit that I got at Houston, and it was one of the designers from the Bernina fashion show. I think she may have even won an award. She paints on silk and then does very concentric stitching, top stitching atop the silk. So I bought a kit that had the paint in it, and maybe you can see this. I painted on all those circles. I stitched over the top of the silk, top stitching, and then constructed the jacket. And then in the kit was this, I think it's a piece of home deck kind of fabric for the back. And it's really comfortable, and it's all silk, so it gets a little bit hot, but that's one piece I made. I also collected, I love circles, so here I found this gorgeous piece of silk. Ooh, it's so shiny, it's hard to see, but it's embroidered with circles and waves very similar to this. Can you see a theme here? But I could only afford, I believe, a half yard because it was like $35 a yard. So I searched and searched until I found this tiny little bolero pattern. And it looked really cute on me about 20 pounds ago. So I'm just going to show it on the hanger, but that was something fun. Then this red and green jacket is also a silky, I don't think it is silk. Not quite sure what the fabric content is, but this whole jacket started out with finding this inspiration piece. It's not an organza, but it's like a scarf, and it's very lightweight, green, a very pea green with red, kind of. It reminded me of rocks, the veins in rocks. And then I also found a red fabric in just the right red. And all the lines you see here, that is my stitching with lime green thread. And I mimicked what I saw in this cool thin scarf fabric. So it's an opposite kind of thing. And then this pattern is really cool. I found it, it might be a Vogue pattern, and you can button it all different ways. The collar is just a really cool, interesting collar, and it's double, so it stands up on its own. You can cross over, you can wear it down or up. It's just really cool. I like wearing clothes that I have no place to wear, so it's fun to get them out of the closet and show you guys. This long vest here is, this has a long story to it that kind of covers a lot of my friends and people who have influenced me over the years. Let me take it off the mannequin so I can show it. It started out with a overdyed piece from Wendy Richardson, who I often talk about on this show because she overdyes fabric. So this piece of fabric here, I fell in love with. It's the first time that I met or heard anything about Wendy Richardson of Quilt Tapestry Studios. And it's French cursive writing that she overdyed green. I bought a big chunk of that, kept it in my stash for years and years. Later, many years later, I found this piece of embroidered silky fabric. All that scrolly stuff is actually, that's how the fabric came. And I bought it in 2 different colorways. It's embroidered on a taffeta. So the warp and weft threads are different, so it has kind of a sheen to it. I love anything with words on it, so I just collected all these fabrics over the years. And one day I pulled them all out on my design wall and realized I was collecting similar colors. Everything was actually going together nicely. Can you tell I like bronze and green? It's kind of a theme here. And then I used a pattern by Lorraine Torrance that we still use to this day. This pattern is the Pacific Rim vest pattern ensemble, and it's got the cool notched armhole. Very comfortable on. Again, I'm not going to model it because it fit really good about 20 pounds ago. But it's all constructed from different cottons. Here's some more of that embroidered fabric. There's some Lonnie Rossi fabric in here, who was another early influence of mine. And gosh, it just brings back a lot of memories. And then I found a large piece of fabric for the lining that I specifically dyed. It was a black and white fabric, and I specifically dyed it to match. And on the one side there, that's a big piece of Lonnie Rossi fabric, again with words and lettering. I think it's because my background is in graphic design, so I am just a sucker for words. But the one piece of Cherrywood that I did put with it, I made a rayon shirt and pants to go with it, and I screen printed the scrolliness from that embroidered piece. I made a template and screen printed the scroll onto the bottom of the shirt and the pants. And this was when we were doing hand-dyed Cherrywood rayon. So this is Cherrywood. How many of you out there remember our rayon? It's it's in the back of my mind to bring back some sort of dress fabric like that. Either the rayon again, which our supplier, the quality was dropping. That's why we had to drop it. But something more drapey that will go with Cherrywood. So that's always on my list of things to do. Another list of things that I've wanted to do for a very long time that kind of ties in with this whole nostalgic feel, and chatting with people like Rachel who have been friends of Cherrywood forever and knew Dawn Hall, the founder of Cherrywood, and everyone just loved Dawn, including myself. I only got to work with her about 3 years before she passed away. So our formulas that we come up with for these beautiful 8-step gradations, there's a lot of trial and error, and it's really satisfying when you come up with a gradation of colors that work beautifully. And all of the formulas from the very beginning I still have. So a lot of these formulas are in Dawn Hall's handwriting, and I still refer back to them constantly because why reinvent the wheel? So I'm always trying to, I might use some of her formulas to come up with a new color. So I went through and I chose 12 formulas that either Dawn Hall, they used to be in our line in the past, or maybe they didn't even get dyed at all, they didn't make the cut, or maybe there were ones that I tried and we only have like 24 8-step fat quarter or 8-step gradations at a time. So sometimes there's colors that just don't make the cut. We kind of have to come up with like certain ones that we can carry all the time. So I took 12 formulas, and I am going to dye exactly one batch of these 12 formulas. And however the color comes out is how it comes out. Because it may not look like it did in 1984 because so many things have changed since then, but they do still come out beautifully. So I'm so excited to tell you about this, and we're going to launch this on January 1st. We're going to call it a batch from the past because I'm doing one batch and it's a formula from our past. I may bring back some popular colors that some of you may remember. But here is just a sneak peek. I've already got it started. And what you will get is going to be a subscription service. So if you sign up, every month you will automatically be drop shipped an 8-step fat quarter bundle. And again, there's limited quantities. I'm just doing one batch. So this one turned out pretty cool. We're calling this saltwater taffy. So this is a sneak peek. Otherwise, it'll be a surprise every month. You get the fat quarter bundle. And then I'm also going to select 2 spools of Aurifil thread that go with the bundle that you're receiving. So you'll get 2 of the smaller spools of 40 weight Aurifil thread selected by me. And I'm also have been searching through some of our old files and finding some older patterns that Dawn Hall wrote, or some older patterns that we carried, and coming up with just some ideas to really reflect on our past, because it has been so interesting and so colorful, and I really appreciate what we've gone through in the 35 years. I've actually been with Cherrywood for 20 years. I can't believe it. So yeah, it's just something really special for me, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So this subscription service, I think, is going to be somewhere between $60 and $70 a month. You'll get everything drop shipped to you. That'll cover shipping. And we're getting it all fleshed out, so we'll make an official announcement probably on our newsletter or our Facebook page, but look forward to that. And let me know if you want to get on the list, because we only have so many slots, as much as we can do with one batch. So, boy, we have had a wonderful show tonight. So thank you for joining me. I'm so glad that I got to share more about, Rachel Clark. She is doing a style show, a fashion show at the PIQFO quilt show. Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's tomorrow night. And it is 9 p.m. Central Time. So check out the Mancuso Quilt Fest Facebook page to watch that. Or you can go to the onlinequiltfestival.com, and it's a style show between Rachel Clark and Karen Butte. And those two are just wonderful. I have been a part of their fashion shows in the past, and they're really entertaining. So another fun thing to look forward to tomorrow night. And I hope you will join me here next week, Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m. Have a good night.